Hey everyone, Donna here. I've tried filming this several times already and I just can't seem to get it across how I want to get it across. Okay, I hope this makes sense. Stefan and I got into a fight the other day. A pretty big one. Wasn't the first, won't be the last, but after Stefan and I got done fighting, I realized something and I thought I would try to share it with you here in this video. I am not an expert in communication. These are just a few things that I have learned from fighting with my husband, okay? So first, as far back as I can remember, I have heard people saying that the key to a successful relationship is communication. You need to communicate with each other. And that's it. That's all they said. They just said communication is key and then no further explanation. But yeah, from my experience, I'd say they're right. Communication is key, but that's only half of it. Because before you can communicate, I have learned the hard way, you have to actually understand what it is you are really truly feeling, right? Because think about it, you literally cannot successfully communicate something to someone else if you do not first understand what it is you are feeling that needs to be communicated. So often I've noticed that Stefan and I just go head first into a fight without really understanding what we're feeling in the first place, where those feelings came from, why they're there. All we know is that we're experiencing feelings that don't feel good, so it starts a fight. But if you don't understand what you're feeling, and why. And I don't just mean the surface level why, I mean really deep down into the why. It'll be really hard, if not impossible, to successfully communicate that to someone else. So the first thing that Stefan and I have been working on separately is trying to figure out what we're actually feeling and how to process and deal with these feelings in a way that's actually helpful. This, I have learned, has a name. It's called emotional intelligence. And wow, can you imagine if all politicians knew how to go deep down into their feelings and process them in a healthy way? Anyway, that brings me to number 2. When Stefan and I are fighting, I've noticed that so often our fights get more emotional or more crying, more pain is involved, not because of the actual initial thing we were fighting about, but at least in part because we so often react and give into the feeling, the urge that we have for the other person to know one of two things or both. Either that we are also suffering. We give into the urge that we want the other person to know we are also suffering, or we give into the urge that we want the other person to know that we're a good person. And so we give into those things and we say something having to do with that rather than putting those urges away for a moment and really, really listening to what the person is saying and really hearing what they're saying and responding to them with empathy to their pain. Okay, here are some concrete examples. Let's say that Stefan tells me that he felt hurt when I said or did XYZ. Donna, when you did XYZ, I felt hurt. If a fight between us gets emotional, I can often look back and see that I or he responded to a statement from the other person with one of these two unhelpful things. Either something like, but I didn't mean to hurt you, or, but it's not my fault, or, well, here's why I did that, giving an excuse because I want him to think I'm a good person, or by pointing out that he did something in the fight that also hurt me, or he caused me pain in the past, bringing up something from the past, to let him know I'm hurting as well, well, in the fight, you first did ABC and that hurt me. Or sometimes you do that to me too and I feel bad too. Or, well, I'm scared about this thing over here that has nothing to do with what you just said and your feelings and your emotions, but it's valid too, because I want him to know that I'm hurting too. And I know that I am not alone in this, which makes me feel a little bit better. Now that I've noticed it happening between me and Stefan, that we sometimes react to each other in this way, I have now noticed these kinds of discourses taking place in comment threads online, on Twitter, in the comment threads, and on YouTube in the comments. I've noticed it between other family members when they argue. I've noticed it happening between TV show and movie characters, like made up people, are staged to have these same kind of interactions with these same kind of problems. And as you can probably imagine, like responding with either of these two things to someone who has expressed a problem that they're experiencing, pain that they're in, responding with one of these two things does absolutely nothing to actually help the other person or address their problems. Not between me and Stefan, not in the comment sections online. It does nothing to address their problem. At best, it derails the conversation. It derails the statement made by that first person. Like if Stefan says that he's hurting because of XYZ and I respond by saying, well, I'm hurting because of ABC, I have not only attempted to derail the conversation, maybe not on purpose, okay? We're going to get to that in a second, but it is derailing the conversation. And he might then feel that by me stating my own problem in response to his problem, that it sends the message to him that I don't really care about his problem, or that I'm not really listening to him because, from his point of view, he said a problem and I responded with my own problem. It seems like I don't care about what he said, right? It looks like, and it is, that, I'm trying to turn the conversation around to make it about me and my problem. Or if I go it's not my fault, I want you to know that I'm a good person route, again, I can see where this is coming from. We'll get to that in a second. But to Stefan, it looks like I'm trying to make it about me. And I am. I'm turning the conversation around to make it about me rather than really listening to what he's saying and addressing his feelings. So why? Why did I say those unhelpful things? Or why did Stefan say them to me? Or why do people do it in the comment section instead of just saying in a sincere and caring way, I'm sorry that you're feeling hurt or something like that, Why? Probably, I would say, because when he said that he felt hurt in response to something I had done, it lit up an emotional storm in me, maybe after he said that, I felt guilt for having hurt him. As I said, I love Stefan and I'm not a mean person. So of course I wouldn't want to hurt him. So maybe I experienced these intense feelings of sadness, of guilt, of disappointment in myself to hear that something I had done hurt him. Or maybe I even felt embarrassed about the thing I did that hurt Stefan. Perhaps he had told me in the past that he doesn't like when I say or do that thing. And I felt like I'd let him down by saying it, or perhaps I feel bad that after so many years together, I had no idea that something I had been doing the whole time was attributing to his pain. And now, there are so many hard feelings all at once, these unpleasant feelings. These feelings do not feel good. I'm feeling these bad feelings. And especially, if you haven't learned to recognize your own feelings and you haven't learned how to really feel and deal with your feelings and express your feelings in a healthy, helpful way, something I'm still learning to do, and I think most of us are, it can be a lot. So often, instead of connecting with the other person from a place of empathy when they share a painful experience with us, especially one that we might feel somehow at fault for, or we might feel like they're trying to say that thing is our fault, and so we have these feelings because of that. So often, it is our automatic tendency to turn the conversation around, to make it about us. I have noticed from my own experience as a way to try to neutralize or deal with or make those hard, unpleasant feelings go away. Not because we're a monster, but because we don't know how to deal with those feelings. And I would say it's not bad in and of itself to have the urge to want to turn the conversation around, to make it about you, to try to get rid of the hard to handle unpleasant feelings. I think that is a valid experience to have. Remember, feelings are complicated and hard, and I think we spend our whole life learning how to process them. But it is important to be aware that that's what's happening and then decide what to do with those feelings. So if Stefan says, I felt hurt when you did XYZ, and I feel guilty or embarrassed or disappointed in myself, first, I need to recognize that I am feeling that in the first place, and then take that feeling and work through it, get to the bottom of it, feel the feeling, figure out why it's there, why do I feel guilt, why do I feel disappointed in myself. If this is happening right away, like in a fight with Stefan, that can be hard. But if we're talking about an online conversation here, maybe you take that feeling. Somebody wrote something, you take that feeling and you walk away with it and you think about, why am I feeling this feeling? Maybe you journal about it. Maybe you talk to a friend. Most importantly, you get to the bottom of that feeling, but don't turn the conversation around and make it about you in order to handle the feeling. You know? That's what I'm trying to work on. And that's not to say that we can never talk about the other person's feelings, because we definitely should. Because of course, both problems might be completely valid. Like if Stefan says, Donna, it hurts when you do XYZ, and I say, yeah, but it hurts when you do ABC, those can both be true statements at the same time. Same with me trying to express, it wasn't my fault, or I didn't do it on purpose. That can be a valid feeling that I might want to bring up with Stefan later after we have focused on his feelings XYZ, but not using it as a way to neutralize the hard feelings I might be feeling when Stefan tells me his feelings. I hope this makes sense. I hope this makes sense. I hope this makes sense. So my question for you is, again, me, not a communication expert. These are just some of my thoughts that I noticed after fighting with Stefan. Have you experienced these things? Have you noticed these things happening in fights that you have? Please let me know in the comments below. Thanks so much for watching. You can follow me for more content over on Instagram @WantedAdventure. And a really, really, really big thank you so much to our patrons over on Patreon who help make these videos possible. Thank you so, so, so very, very much for your support. Thank you. If you would like to check out our Patreon page, it is very, very much appreciated. You can find a link to that down in the description box below. Until next time, auf Wiedersehen.